think we should be able to finish everything today. I've got about 30 core colors from Ferris Press that aren't sparkly, and I've got about the same in their sparkly colors. Actually, I've got less in their sparkly colors. I've got about 15 in Everyday. So let's get into this. I've organized my bottles, the 35 ml bottles, by color. So we have a Freshly Squeezed Sunshine up first, which is one of my favorite yellows. I think I've actually got 2 bottles of this. Got another one tucked away somewhere, but it is a great color. Good morning. I normally don't stream this early in the morning, but I want to finish this project, and we're so close that I decided that I'd swatch this morning and I'll put away everything this afternoon once everything's dry. So this evening I will put away everything as another live, because why not? It's fun to hang out and put things away, and then this will be done. We are like about 45 colors away from being done, which is crazy. I would say about 90% of these Ferris Press colors are discontinued. I will still tell you what I'm swatching, but most of them, if you're looking for them, you're going to have to find them from people destashing them from their collections, which I've done for a couple. So I have to say it's quite a good yellow if you can find a bottle of it. And it's why I got a second bottle, because it's quite a good yellow for mixing in a CYM palette. This is Treasured Manuscript. It was a very sort of parchment color on the website. I would say my bottle is not parchment. My bottle is like a pale green, which is where I've put it in my swatches, but it is very pretty. And I do like having it in pens. Press. What is everyone up to this fine morning? I have to say, it's finally sunny here. Sort of lovely. I've already been out and done some things today, but I decided that I wanted to finally check this off my list. So you can see it's a very olivey green, which isn't, I don't know, I like it. It's just not the sort of parchment-y color it was on the Ferris Press website and that I'd seen in other friend swatches. So I should, I don't know. I've kept it because I do like it, but it is one of those things that could probably be destashed at some point. I'm just setting these bottles on the floor and I'll figure out putting them away later. It's sort of one of those more obscure colors. It was a limited edition, or it was one of the store exclusives for a store in Japan. But for a while it was available on ferriswheelpress.ca, and that's where I snagged my bottle. Peter Moss. You've currently seen this in a recent pen. It is in my Navaler titanium pen that they just sent me. This is Peter Moss. Moss. I love this color. I actually love this color enough that I bought it in a bottle. I originally just had the sample set of it, but it is a super fun color. Also, I'm not going to enjoy cleaning all these pipettes. I know that. But at this point, I figured, why am I cleaning a few when I could just wait and clean them all together and complain about cleaning them all together? So we're gonna just, put them all together and then complain when I have to clean them all. I do love Peter Moss as a color. It's so good. I will take this a little bit further over and down a little bit. Next up is Book of Botany. This is newer. It came out a couple weeks ago. I haven't inked this up in a pen yet. I do think the packaging for it's super cute, and it's a really nice muted green. It's very much in my color palette. So I'm excited about it. Yes, I would agree. It is, it's one of those, it very much fits my muted color palette that I really like having in pens. Same with this ink. Like, this is a much more sort of emerald green, but is still somehow really muted and pretty. So super pretty. Where's the swatch of this? It's swatching much darker here. This is what it swatched like when I dipped it. So it can be quite pale. It's quite pretty. Let's get those back up. It is a sort of jadey green. It's very pretty. I quite like it. I just haven't put it in a pen. I was feeling Peter Moss. We have Dancing Time. I feel like I had this in a pen over the winter. It's very winter ink. Feels too muted for spring. I love this color as well. Some more sort of muted green, but it's super pretty. I was going to say, like, swatch-wise, it looks pretty similar to Book of Botany. And really, on camera, they look sort of similar. In person, they don't. This one is so much darker in person. That is the fun of redoing swatches like this, is just getting to see what things look like again. All right, what's up next? Ooh, 3 steamboats. This has been discontinued as well. The festival of what's been discontinued this morning. You're not going to open? This is a newer edition. I'd been wanting it for a while, and then they discontinued it, and so I bought a bottle of it using points, because I always like having a cyan to mix with if I want to mix. And this is the closest to a true cyan that Ferris Wheel Press does. So even though it's, most people find it a bit too pale to write with, it is very pretty and works really well for mixing. And because I do have a true yellow and a true magenta from Ferris Wheel Press, there was no reason not to pick up a cyan from them, so that I had a proper mixing palette. This is one of my 2 bottles of Storied Blue. This is the green one, because I have one from the screwed up batch and one from the good batch. This tends to be my testing ink when I'm doing things, because it's not technically storied blue. It's too green to be storied blue, but it works really well if I just want to dip test a pen, like if mom is tweaking nibs and stuff. So that tends to be my tester ink. Dusk and Bloom. I've used probably a bit over a third of this bottle, not quite half yet. But I do have many more bottles of it because it is my favorite blue. Oh, so I'm still dipping them in the normal way as well. These are just so that I have all the inks from one brand together, because I was having trouble navigating what inks I had from which brand. Like if I'm picking a color for a pen and it doesn't matter what brand of ink I put in it, I'm still using my normal set of dippers. But if I'm shopping online or something, like I needed a way of knowing which inks I had. I do theoretically have a spreadsheet. It hasn't been updated since the Chicago Pen Show last May. So I do really like these for flipping through and picking a color for a pen, but for figuring out like what inks I own and stuff, something like this was needed. And I just, because I was re-swatching everything to figure it out this way, I just decided to swatch them in a different way. I don't know that I like it as much. You don't see as much color variation as you see in the Cola Ring dippers. You tend to see a lot more color variation in these ones when you dip into a bottle, because the ink pools in different ways. I don't hate it though. Like I like them enough to finish doing them. And I think it's going to be helpful so that I know what I own from various brands. But it is definitely not going to replace the way I normally swatch. We've finished a row. We're on to row 2. This is the proper storied blue. it look like a huge difference. No, it really doesn't on this paper. It looks like a bigger difference when you dip them. There's a really big difference. Like you can see there's a little bit of a difference, but there's not, well, there is a difference. One looks blue-gray, one looks turquoise. So I've got a bottle of both, the proper storied blue and the green storied blue. So it's definitely interesting to swatch the green one for the first time. But luckily Atlas was quite good about sending me a replacement bottle as soon as I sent them a swatch. This is Harlequin Dreams. Or Harlequin Dream. I feel like I've got this in pen. I don't know which pen, but I've got it in a pen. What pen do I have this in? I know I've got it in a pen, but I have no idea what pen I've got it in. I wonder what pen I've got it in. It's a super pretty, like, indigo-y purple. I believe it appeared on Julia Here's list of her favorite purple inks, and I would agree. It is one of my favorite purple inks. Oh no, it was this one that did. This is Bayou Berry Mist, which appeared on Julia's list. Maybe both of them did. I'm not actually sure which one. I know one of them did. But now that I think about it, I think it was Bayou Berry Mist, which is so stunning. This is like a very dark, moody purple. Ferris Press had a whole bunch of colors last year that very much fit into my ink color palette. This was one of them, where it was like, this is the moody vibes that I want from an ink. They do make some nice inks. My issue is how often they discontinue colors. But I do like things like this, like the really moody colors. I do really like. I just don't like how frequently they discontinue things, and how many colors they discontinue when they discontinue things. I think how Pilot does it, where they discontinue like 3 colors at a time, is much more reasonable than discontinuing 40 something colors at a time, because it can get expensive if there's things you want in those 40 colors, or if there's multiple things you want. This is Little Rubina. I got this on points as well. It had been on my list for a while. I kept going back and forth because I had above it, they're similar purples, and then they discontinued it. So I got it. It is a really pretty color though. So people can, the issue with this color in 3 Steamboats that people have is that they're really dry. I am working on acquiring some Van Ness White Lightning, which should fix the problem. I haven't found them to be super dry, but I know that is a frequent complaint with them. Yeah, so I've been hearing that the issue is that it's dry. Actually, I've got it inked up in a pen. I found it. It wasn't playing nice on the paper of my planner. It was playing fine on other paper, but it wasn't playing nice in my planner. And so I mixed it with a tiny bit of Royal Rhubarb, just to darken that purple a little bit so that it played nicer in my planner. I would, like, in my planner, you were just seeing the very pale shading of it, and it just wasn't playing super nice. Sweet Honeydew was on my list as well, and I decided not to get a bottle because I don't use greens enough. That is my issue with Frivolous Lime as well. I couldn't justify a bottle of Frivolous Lime. I don't use limes enough, whereas I have 2 bottles of Grape Ice Pop. All right, Madame Mulberry. This was the first ink I fell in love with. I have too many bottles of it because I've used half of this bottle. I've used half of another bottle that I bought secondhand, and I think I acquired a 3rd bottle of it just in case. It's rare that it isn't inked up in a pen. I don't think it is currently, but I absolutely adore it. I never tried a sample of this before I bought a bottle of it. It is so pretty. I love that it goes down gray and sort of fades to a pinky purple. I adore it. It's so pretty. It's staying quite gray today, but it should, in the next little bit, fade. Beaver Dam Brown. I had a sample of this from a friend, and I really like it, and so I bought a bottle. Also on points. 90% of what I got from the clearance section, I got on points. I think in total I had, it was either $300 or $400 worth of Ferris wheel press points from over the years saved up. I've never spent them. And then when they discontinued a whole bunch of the colors in the summer, I cashed them out. I find this brown leans slightly purple in its undertone. And so it lives with my dark purples. Ah, there we go. It's starting to fade quite pinky. I love this color. It is truly one of my favorite gray-ish colors. I guess we can call it gray adjacent. Pink Eraser. Another very, I would say, cult classic Ferris wheel press color. Basically the color of a pink school eraser. All the artwork on the box is pencil and eraser themed. It is a great color. I did not buy a second bottle of this when they discontinued it, and I sort of regret that. But I think it's still in stock, and I probably could. I love pink eraser. I got my bottle from, I believe it's called Knight's Writing. They weren't at Scriptus 2024, they were at Scriptus 2023. And they were selling their demo bottles from the store of Ferris wheel pressings. So they were open bottles, but they'd only ever been dipped into. And I bought a bottle of pink eraser from them, and I bought a bottle of Madame Mulberry from them for very little. It was lovely because they'd only been used as testers. All right. Spadina Rose. I didn't get this color for a long time. I didn't think I needed it. I bought it with points when they discontinued it. My favorite art store is on Spadina. It's basically the only reason I got this ink. I like the name, and now I really like the color. I don't know that I've actually put it in a pen. I think I've only dipped pens into it. So I got it in December, I believe, and I haven't really, it feels like a very spring summer color. It's like a muted pink. A handful. Not many, but a handful. I would say Scriptus normally has between 50 and 60, no more than that, vendors. How many vendors were there this year? I think they were close to 70 vendors this year. Heinz was there, and Kenro was there. Yeah, Mom and I have been having that discussion. Because Esterbrook is supposed to be coming to this event in Montreal. And, you know, how do you get product to pen events these days in Canada? Is definitely something Mom and I have had the discussion about. So we'll see how it plays out. There are definitely always some US vendors at Scriptus. I would say it's mostly Canadian because we have so few pen shows. I would say most Canadians also go to US pen shows normally. And lots of Canadian vendors normally go to US pen shows. The position I'm in right now still has me going to US pen shows this year, but there is definitely lots of discussion about it. This is the Sherry Sonata. I don't know if this is still around or not. My bet is that it's not, but I might be wrong. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting situation right now. We're sort of coming to the end of pen videos. I'm gonna have to figure out something new for Wednesday videos because other than the pen from Navaler, everything else is sort of on hold. So it's definitely interesting right now. I think I've got 2 pen videos left, and then they're done. And one of them is a pen that I've had since October. So it's definitely weird. Okay, so it's still kicking around somewhere. Yes, it is. Royal Rhubarb is up next. This has been discontinued. I know that because I bought my bottle in the clearance section. So it was a nice surprise to get a pen from Navaler this week. And it is a very nice pen. It's my first modern pen with an ebonite feed. I've got some vintage stuff with ebonite feeds, but nothing modern with an ebonite. And it is a very wet medium nib because of the ebonite feed. This is currently inked up in a pen, and I've got it mixed with little Rubina in a pen. So I guess it's inked up in like 1.5 pens. Oh, I wish. I wish. It would make my life easier. So we might get back to watercolor videos because I am very quickly running out of pen videos. Buttered popcorn. Bought this because of Drew Brown. Randomly, 2 bottles appeared in the clearance section of Ferris Wheel Press, and I bought one of them. I only bought it because of Drew, and it is a fun color. I see why it's one of his favorite inks. It's a very golden yellow. It is really the color of popcorn flavoring, like the artificial butter. Just what I thought yesterday in Bulk Barn. When I saw it in the bin, I went, huh, I've got an ink that color, and named that. But it is fun. Again, it feels like a summer ink color. But I might put it in the pen I posted about on Shorts yesterday. Yes, Scriptus has no admittance fee, and that is why it is chaos. Because it has no admittance fee, and it is a 6-hour show. And it is utter chaos. At least last year, they decided to pay attention to fire regulations, and that actually made people really angry. We're gonna move some things out of a tray so I've got space again. Yeah, the fact that people actually had to wait in line last year because they decided to pay attention to fire code made people really angry, which was really funny after the chaos of the year before. So I'm always happy to be behind a table at Scriptus. And really, that is, as somebody who uses crutches, like that is the only way I'll do Scriptus is behind a table. It's just too chaotic anyways, otherwise, and I've got the ability to go to other shows. And most people that attend, or most of the vendors that attend Scriptus, I can see at other shows or buy from in other ways. Yeah, Actually, I think that table fee has gone up. I think it used to be $70 a table. So really, the table fee is pretty low, and there's no admittance fee. And it's hosted in a downtown Toronto library. The rainbow of Ferris wheel press colors is really pretty, even though they're not quite in rainbow order. This is definitely peachy. I bought this secondhand from somebody in the Canadian Fountain Pen group who was getting rid of it. It's super fun. It had been on my list for a while. I didn't love it enough to buy it full price. And then I was able to buy one secondhand. We don't have that many left. We've got a handful of 38 mil and then 385, and then we're on to the shimmery every day, and then we're done. We are so close to being done. And then I'm gonna go have a nap. Well, I'm gonna eat lunch and then I'm gonna have a nap, and then this evening, it was fun. This evening I will go live and put away all these swatches, and then this will be done. All right, Terracotta Canyon. All right, there's Terracotta Canyon. This was a summer color last year, I want to say. They released a couple similar colors to this last year. They released this and they released Russet Typecase. And I can't remember which came out first. I want to say it was Russet Typecase and then Terracotta Canyon, but I may be wrong. The pile beside me grows. At some point, I'll actually put these away. But I don't see the point right now. That's a later problem. help if I turn the lid the right way. Instead of just tightening the lid. This is currently my Benu Hot Toddy. I will say we've made progress with that pen. It is slightly more empty. Will it still be partially full for the Chicago Pen Show? Probably. But it holds quite a lot of ink. And I might have been a little bit daring when I eyedroppered it back in October. So I don't know that I'll fully eyedropper Benu Euphoria again, but it has been fun. This is Autumn and Auburn. Again, discontinued. Don't know that I've ever inked this in a pen. It's again, a more recent edition, and it feels like a very spring summer color. Like it's like a burnt orange. It's like a Quinn Gold almost. And I don't know, like a color like this always feels like late summer to me instead of fall. Like it almost feels too orange to be fall. It feels like the wrong orange for fall. Oyster Hour. I wanted a bottle of this for such a long time. I got a sample of it, and then I finally picked up a bottle from Atlas at the sidewalk sale. That's when I grabbed my bottle. I find this goes down very greenish and doesn't dry super greenish. It just like always goes down. Sort of green. It's a fun color. I just always find that it goes down sort of green and then dries brown. Writing desk. This was a Wonder Pens exclusive. I think this might be one of my first almost empty 38 ml bottles. Has Malibu Blush been discontinued? I want to say no, but I might be wrong. I don't actually own a bottle of Malibu Blush. I only have a charger of it. was one of my very first Ferris wheel press inks. All right, lead cast letters. Yeah, both writing desk and steep dumper discontinued. Honestly, so they discontinued. I would say they discontinued anything that was made pre 2022. I think it was anything pre 2022 that got discontinued, or 2023. I only have samples of Spruce Country Post and Steep Dumper. I like both of them, but I didn't like both of them to try and get a bottle. I do really like lead cast letters, though. I have a thing for grays again. I did an inked up last year that was just gray inks, and I'm thinking about doing it again this year because I have so many more gray inks right now in my collection. And they're just so much fun. Like, gray inks can have so much personality, and I know some people absolutely hate them. But honestly, I think they're, like, as neutrals go, like a gray or a brown are the most fun inks you can choose if you want a neutral ink. So there might be another inked up of grays. I just figured out what all these lines are. I've been trying to go, like, why do only half of the swatches have lines? This mat is textured, but only on one side, and I flipped it over because I was tired of getting sparkles on things. Fun times. All right. Which really isn't a black. It's sort of a charcoal gray. But, you know, whatever. They can call it a black if they want to call it a black. Am I back? Our Wi-Fi's still really slow. I don't own any Stipula inks. I've looked at their stuff. I don't own any of it. Claire really likes it. I guess we're swatching on this side because I've already got ink on it. Marketed as a black. Ah. All right. I'm gonna dump these pipettes into a bin of some sort as soon as I've done this. Much like the Mont Blanc ink Around the World in 80 Days brown, goes down green, fades out to the color you want it to be. All right, I need a bin to put these pipettes in. We'll steal this tray. There we go. Crisis averted. And yet, suddenly you look really black on this paper. Barrington black, I would not call a true black. I would call it a dark gray. All right, we've got the 3 inks that are in the 38 ml or 85 ml bottles. That's the number I'm looking for from my brain. And then we are on to the sparkly everyday inks, which I've got a handful of. This is Morningside Mint. I do love the old 85 ml packaging. I've got some of the new ones as well that sort of like fold out from, I think they're hexagons. I don't like those as much as these ones. I much prefer the tubes. They're easier to use and get things in and out of. I do wish that they had labels of some sort on them. It's sort of a random gamble if you've got more than a couple, so I just keep them in their boxes. Yeah, my Dusk and Bloom is in the same box. I don't know when they made the change in packaging. I don't like the change in packaging. And then there's the new Fairy Tales come in boxes, the 85 ml Fairy Tales come in boxes that look exactly the same as the current Fairy Tale boxes, except they're massive. So they've had at least 3 packaging variations for the 85s. I know some people that hate the big globes. I really like them. My issue is just the fact that they don't have a label on them. These are joining my stash on the floor. We've just stopped putting stuff away at this point. I'm treating that as a later problem. I think we decided yesterday I had 17. I would say most are from Jubilee. I've purchased a couple over the years. I've repurchased a couple over the years as I've finished or almost finished bottles. This is Double Raspberry. I love this color. Such a good bright pink. I also like the little drawstring bags the Fairy Tales or the 85s come in. They serve no purpose as far as I can tell. But they're very cute, and I like that they match the ink bottles. I might use them for storing sort of knick-knacky things for pen shows. Like I might put all my ink tubes into one. Or not ink tubes, my nib tubes. So that I don't confuse them with my ink tubes. All right, final one is Algonquin Maple. This was part of, they did 6 inks that were sort of fall in Canada themed. And I want to say I have all of them. Because I have Algonquin Maple, Morningside Mint, Beaver Dam Brown, Autumn and Auburn. Is it Royal Rhubarb? There's one more because there are 6 in the collection. I can't remember what the last one is. I love Double Raspberry. It's such a good pink ink. It actually might be my favorite magenta-y ink. And I've got a couple. It's just hard to find one like with enough pop. And actually, up until I got Pop Pink from Mont Blanc, it was my favorite pink ink I owned, like true pink. But there's just something about Pop Pink that I adore. So Pop Pink has become my favorite pink. This red, on the other hand, is my absolute favorite red. I own very few red inks. And I actually wrote a blog post for Goldspot about trying to replace this red and going through all the red inks Goldspot had, trying to replace this red. Because I do really love this red. I was really sad when they discontinued it. All right, we've got a handful of sparkly things left. We have, let me go around the desk so I can actually grab things down. We have 3 inks of the year. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 other inks. So I think we'll end with the inks of the year. And we'll do these other 9, and we'll end this with 3 inks of the year. There are 12 inks between us and being done swatching. I sort of can't believe that. But here we are. We are almost done. 12 inks stand between me and being done. I just realized I haven't been writing Ferris Wheel Press every day on those swatches. Whatever. They're not fairy tales. I'm smart enough to know they're not fairy tales. I'll go back through and label them. Maybe. Do I want to do all the writing? I sort of want to do all the writing. And then I'm done. Tinseltown. Frontenac blue. keep going back and forth about keeping this ink, because it's very similar to Stroke of Midnight, but I keep sending it back on the ink wall, so. For now, it stays. Little Miss Jubilee. Me, the table. Cabernet on the Lake. This is Hardy Harvest. All right, let's open these up. This is Wayfinder's Slate. This is newer. Actually, this is new. I think this was last month. Right, we've got the 3 inks of the year. So I have 2023. 2023. This is actually one of Mom's inks. Then we have Aurea Alice, which was last year's. $2024. I'm not a huge limited edition inks person. Hello. But I do have the Ferris Wheel press ones. This is the 2025 one. I do really like this one. I currently have this inked up in a pen, and I'm really enjoying it. Which is a little bit surprising to me because I haven't I had a Royale inked up for a little bit last year, but I haven't inked it up for a while. I find it a bit too heavy on shimmer for day-to-day writing. Blue Revelry, though, is actually really pretty. $20.25. So exactly. So I think just before my birthday, I cashed out. It was either $300 or $400 worth of points, and that really expanded my ink collection because all I did was buy inks, and so that made a big difference. And then, as a Jubilee member, I normally get 2 inks a month. And so I've now been a Jubilee now for nearly 2 years. It was April 2023 that I joined Jubilee. And so I've got quite the collection of their inks. And then there have been a couple over the years that I've purchased myself, mostly in like the muted colors that I knew I'd use. This is Festival Grove. This was one of the Christmas inks this year, I want to say. They tend to do more sparkly everyday inks in the lead up to Christmas, I find. Sort of see more sparkly stuff. Their Jubilee program is their creator program. So it's anyone can apply, but it's their creator program. So it's getting products into the hands of creators before they're released to the public. So I tend to get products from them about 2 or 3 weeks before it's available on the website, which lets me play around with it before I talk to you guys about it, which is always nice. And it means that if people ask questions about colors, I can answer them because I've already had it in hand. There we go. The nice thing is, if you line their lids up properly, they are flush. And so you know if you've lined a lid up badly. So I always make sure I have the lids lined up properly. So Jubilee is just their creator program. And I have now been part of it since 2023. And there is an affiliate part of it, but for the most part, you generally tend to save more shopping through other pen stores, unless there's something really specific you're after. I did end up getting a cat bottle. I don't know that you can actually see. You sort of can. So that happened. That was fun. We're gonna mix this up. The fact that this is going to be done in a very small number of minutes. I will say, I find Tunes of Tinseltown, which this is, almost too heavy in glitter. It is so sparkly. If it's left to settle out on a desk, it just leaves this massive layer. It's sort of like liquid chrome. It's so sparkly. It is very pretty though. I just haven't put it in a pen because I'm hesitant about how sparkly it is. I've used it with dip pens though. See just how reflective it is. It is fun though. All right, Frontenac Blue. This was really popular when it came out in 2023, I believe. Used a good portion of my bottle. It's got a pale blue color shift to it. I've used a good amount of my bottle actually over the years. It's a very pretty teal. Oh no. Oh, honestly, that's the issue, is that right now, because of how many things I discontinued, like if I stopped using everything that they discontinued in pens that I filmed with, I would stop using so much of my ink collection. But it's super pretty. This is Crystal Blue Legacy. Tone on Tone Blue Shimmer. I just got an Atlas email. What's back in stock? It's back in stock. Not what I was hoping. That's fair. Honestly, that's a good way to approach it. For a while, I was leaving dupes in the comments or similar things, but it's hard to know without having colors in hand. And so I now just tell you what color I used. And there are people like Mountain of Ink who have a huge color swatch repertoire. And hopefully all right. Mont Blanc is generally considered to be fairly vintage safe. So I use Toffee Brown in my vintage pens when I want a brown ink. Their core line, so long as you're not looking at their permanent inks, which aren't currently even recommended for Mont Blanc pens, tend to be pretty good. Stroke of Midnight. This was Mom's go-to ink for a very long time. She doesn't currently have it in a pen, but it is super pretty. We have 8 inks left, or 7 after this. I love it. It's so pretty. All right. Little Miss Jubilee. This was originally only available through Ferris Wheel Press, and I think you needed to use an affiliate code to check out to buy it. Now I think it's available everywhere. But it is very pretty. Mom's had it in a pen. Super pretty. It's got a gold shimmer to it. Cabernet on the Lake. It's another pretty tone on tone. I find that lots of the everyday shimmers tend to be pretty tone on tone, whereas the fairy tales are very in your face. I'm always asked what the difference is between the two, and I've come to discover that really, for me, the biggest difference is the tone on tone versus sort of in your face. Fairy tales tend to be very in your face with their shimmer, and as shimmery as these are, they tend to be a more subtle color that goes with the ink. They're never color shifters. Like tone on tone. It's an orange shimmer. All right. Wayfinder Slate. Gray shimmer. Such a fun color. Three left, and then we're done. Then we've swatched every ink I own. And then we're gonna have lunch and a nap. Pink champagne glitter. This one does have a color shift. It's fun. So their special editions of Inks of the Year do tend to be more similar to fairy tales, I would say, but with very fancy bottle designs. All right, one ink left. One ink left, and we've swatched every ink I own over like 6 videos. We're so close to being done. And then I have to put away this chaos, but this chaos is living on my floor for a little longer because I don't want to deal with it. Look at that color. Oh, you can't really see the shimmer on camera. It's a bit too dark. Blue Revelry. 15th anniversary ink of the year. The box is holographic. The ink has hollow and color shift and is so much fun. And just like that, this is our final swatch. We're done. We're done. So, I guess this afternoon or this evening, I will go live and put these all away. But for now, all the swatches are done. Thanks for hanging out this morning. I'm gonna go eat lunch and have a nap. I hope you have a good rest of your day.